week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try, we got to see the return of not one, but two Kawaguchis. Yes, Tatsuya Yuki isn't the only one with the title of Meijin Kawaguchi. It also belongs to that one female Gunpla battler who's known as Lady Kawaguchi. She's the one that Fumina Hoshino has been looking up to the entire time, and she finally gets to meet her in this week's episode, as well as having a really intense Gunpla battle with her Gunpla, which also happens to be an SD Gundam, which is known as the Devil Dragon Blade Zero Gundam. Yes, it's a long title, but it's pretty freaking awesome. It's one of the coolest looking SD Gundams I have ever seen. In particular, that sword. Oh my god, that sword was so freaking metal. The way it transformed and just became so sharp and dangerous looking, and just the fact that it has the ability to cut through massive beam weapons. Yes, my friends, this week's episode was really exciting. There was a lot of action scenes. 3 to be exact. The episode actually opened up when they were picking up from last week's episode, where Ado Saga was pretty much just running a train over everyone with his Gundam the N, when suddenly Meijin Kawaguchi, Tatsuya Yuki came from the skies in his amazing Red Warrior, and they had this short little scuffle, which unfortunately is aborted, but still it gives us a quick demonstration of what the Gundam the End is going to do, and what this whole amazing Red Warrior is all about. And let me just say, I love the design of the Gundam Amazing Red Warrior because it's not very drastic from the original Gundam itself. In fact, it's basically an upgraded version of the original Gundam, just with a red color scheme and some brand new weapons. But I love the gun sword on that thing. It's a really useful weapon, and it leads to a lot of really great scenes. And I already mentioned in my previous review of the previous episode that the Gundam the End sort of reminds me of like a Western design. Just the fact that it has the poncho, the cloak, and the revolvers. And I love that scene where he fires at Kawaguchi, and then he just pulls out his gun and shoots it, and it stops it in midair. I mean, they are literally stopping beam weapons in like a split second. That just shows how powerful they are. And eventually the Gundam the End does actually remove its cloak, and it's getting ready to use its Dark Finger ability, and then suddenly the battle is aborted. But the scene is awesome because we get our very first view of what it looks like. And its shoulder pads open up, and it looks like there's these weird robotic eyeballs underneath them. It kind of looks like the suits that Ryuko Matoi and Satsuki Kiryuin wear in Kill La Kill, just like the shoulder pad view with the eyes on them. That's what it reminds me of, but it looks really cool, and I just love the overall design of this. But the battle is aborted, Ado Saga is pissed, and he proclaims that he will defeat Meijin Kawaguchi eventually. Him and his weird, shady, weird teammate. I'm not really sure what's up to this guy, but I don't really trust him, but it looks like we're going to get to see him in action in next week's episodes. Yuma has been completely defeated, both mentally, physically, and he's humiliated. So he just runs away when he's suddenly confronted by Meijin Kawaguchi on his badass bike, and he offers to take him to this Gunpla store, and they're gonna have a battle. He actually lets him use his amazing Red Warrior, and I love that he like slides it across the table. That's so slick. And so you have Tatsuya Yuki using the Lightning Gundam, and then you have Yuma using the amazing Red Warrior. And even with that amazing Gunpla right there, Meijin Kawaguchi uses the Lightning Gundam in ways that we've never seen. He's moving so fast and so swift, and he's basically trying to push Yuma to the limits of his will. He's trying to let him know, really, there are no limits in Gunpla. This is your opportunity to go insane and push yourself to brand new heights. And that's what he does in this battle. He basically educates him, and they decide to have a few more matches and sign some autographs at the Gunpla store. Whereas we have this juxtaposition battle going on with Fumina and Lady Kawaguchi, where she's trying to figure out really what's going on, like why she's missing something in battle. There's something that's not going on. And the battle here is really good because we get to see some more abilities from the winning Gundam as well, not just this brand new other SD Gundam. I love the fact that the shield has a buzzsaw on it, and even when her body parts are removed from the Gunpla, she can combine them and use them herself. She actually uses a big beam cannon, but of course, Lady Kawaguchi just cuts right through that. And towards the end of the episode, it is implied that she figures out what it is she's missing. And then we cut to this scene where Sekai finally heals himself. He's running outside, and he suddenly sees this very beautiful girl hanging out in the moonlight, and she becomes enamored with his Gunpla, ending this week's episode. And you'd think in the post-credit scene maybe they'd follow up on this. No, it's something just as interesting, actually. Minato is deciding to join his school's Gunpla team, because obviously he is desperate to fight against Yuma at this point. And I knew this was going to happen. I knew he was going to get involved in the battle. They weren't just going to keep him in the background or some weird, obscure side character in the first half of the series. It's got me really excited. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try? It kicked ass! It was another really good episode. And I think the second half of this season is really starting to pique my interest. I love all the brand new characters. I love where the story is going. I love that every single member of Team Tri-Fighters has this brand new little own separate training arc they're going to have to go through, which is going to allow them to grow as characters, and of course, to maybe upgrade their gunpla, which is something I can't wait to see. The action this week, just like the rest of the series, is just a lot of fun and crazy. There's always a ton of really cool mobile suit battles, and the designs of the mecha in this week's episode were fantastic. I mean, the Gundam The End is one of the most metal-ass, cool mecha I've ever seen. And when you see it remove its cloak for the first time and it activates all of its abilities, it's just so exciting and so cool looking. And they still don't really give you a very good look at it. They sort of obscure it slightly, so we really haven't seen it fully go into battle quite yet. The Gundam Amazing Red Warrior, though, again, it's very simple, it's very awesome. And that Devil Dragon Blade Zero Gundam just... This is a series that has actually made me like SD Gundams. You know, before Gundam Build Fighters, I did not think much of SD Gundam at all. And a lot of that had to do with that one CGI spin-off they did years ago, which they actually did air on Toonami. And while there were some things I liked about it, like some of the mecha designs, I just didn't care for the overall story and the world of SD Gundam, and it sort of turned me off of it. And there's been a lot of other SD Gundam like spin-offs and shorts and cartoons over the years. I just never really warmed up to them. But Gundam Build Fighters has made them interesting because they're now actually going toe-to-toe with regular Gundams. They're being put like on the same pedestal, so to speak. So it allows me to sort of appreciate them a little bit more. And just the fact that they just really make them look awesome. I mean, Lady Kawaguchi's actual SD Gundam is just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And honestly, I'd love to see a regular-sized version of that Gundam just because of how it looks, and I just love the overall look of the sword, which is pretty unique. And that's another thing I love about this arc, is the unique weaponry. I mentioned it in the previous episode, but the Gundam The End uses those revolvers, giving it that Western feel, which is just so awesome. The Lady Kawaguchi's Gundam using that big sword, just, it's all unique stuff. I love it. The gun sword from the freaking Red Amazing Warrior. This is just exciting mecha goodness right here, and I'm really glad that we got a really fantastic episode right before Christmas, because it's basically the ultimate stocking stuffer, and I love this week's episode. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was handled really well. The animation, the artwork, the story, just everything looked really good. Not just the action scenes look good, just the backgrounds of scenes. Like when Lady Kawaguchi is introduced to Fumina for the first time, I love the obscured look of the sunlight behind her and everything. It just looks very nice, and it's very appealing. And there's a lot of mystery in this week's episode, too. Who is that girl at the very end of this week's episode, and what is that going to mean for the rest of the series? Is this going to be Sekai's brand new love interest? I mean, he already has sort of a thing going on with Fumina, although he's kind of oblivious to all of it. And, you know, I don't even really care about love stories all that much, but I'm really interested to see where this is going. So, I'm really excited for the rest of this arc. It's really kicking into high gear, especially with all these brand new characters that are being introduced rapidly, and all of the crazy new gunpla and battles. So, like I said, awesome episode, 5 out of 5. Check it out if you've been following the series, or if you're a fan of the Gundam anime series, do not miss this one. It is a lot of fun. Happy holidays, guys. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try. What did you think about the revelation that there are 2 Kawaguchis? And what did you think of all the brand new gunpla they showed this week? Remember, guys, if you have not subscribed to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here. And you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.